The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this Advice Club webinar of Building an Action Plan for 2024. My name's Chris Farthing. I'm the CEO and founder of Advice Club, and delighted to be here today in our new and improved shortened format. We have tested this one last month for a 30-minute duration, and we had some great engagement and lots of good feedback to say that this is much preferred and takes a lot of time. But it does mean that we'll be cracking through the slides, so a lot less waffle from me. A little bit of housekeeping first, though. The meeting is now being recorded, and the slides, the recording, and a copy of the questions and answers will be disseminated to everyone, all the attendees, I think usually within 24 hours, and then for the recorded, for the people who've registered but not here, usually within a couple of days. Everyone is muted, so you'll all be muted through this, and this will be for the whole webinar. And so if you need to ask questions, please use the sidebar. We encourage you to use the sidebar, not the chat, because we can't record the chat stuff. So on any questions that we can't answer when we do Q&A with about 5 to 10 minutes toward the end, we will then endeavour to complete all of the questions with the right answers, and they'll be all sent round in the wash-up that we send at the end of the meeting, at the end of the webinar, sorry. Also, again, we are delighted to be presenting you with our access to our new tool. So have a look at that. It's really exciting. We launched it last time. We've had over 100 people use it so far. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on. But without further ado, let's crack on. Okay, so a quick introduction for those of you who don't know who we are. We are the world's only, and we check this, we are the world's only GovTech viability mentors. Feel free to Google that if you like, or use your search technology, which means for those who don't understand that, we are public sector procurement experts, okay? And we have specialities around G-Cloud and DOS and lots of other frameworks as well, but all around tech and UK government. And we work with both suppliers and buyers. So, to helping them make the most out of the frameworks and public sector procurement on there. And we've been going for coming up for 9 years now. So we started in September 2014. So a quick agenda, what's coming up in the webinar, what I'm going to be talking about. Why is 2024 so important for suppliers to the UK public sector? Okay, why are we talking about this? It's only June, we've got summer to come. Why do we want to speak about this now? Hopefully that will share and you'll get a better understanding as to why. What key frameworks are coming up? It's looking an incredibly busy year. Why you should start preparing now, yeah, and how we can help, and a bit of Q&A at the end, okay? So without further ado, here we go. There'll be a number of polls. I'm joined by my colleague Danny, as usual, who will be running the Q&A and running the polls. But we'll launch the poll now, if you don't mind, Danny, please, the first of ours. This helps make it much more interactive when we can amend the webinar as we go along. So are you listed on any frameworks? There's a number of answers there. Please click on those, and as soon as we're got to a certain amount, excuse me, my voice, we will close that down, usually after about a minute. 80% of you have voted, 83, nearly there. Okay, Danny, I think we're at 90% now. Let's close that down and publish the results, please, for that. So, great. First, vast majority are on several. In fact, virtually all of you are at least on one framework. And good news that none of you have put what's a framework on there. It was a bit of a humorous thing, but we're glad that we're talking to people who actually know. We don't have to do any explanations of what frameworks are about. Okay, so if you close that down, we'll crack on. Thanks very much. Oh, let's get the slide moving. So why 2024? What's so special about this year coming up? Give me a second. Sorry. So first of all, a bit of context. 2023 has been something of a mixed bag for suppliers this year, okay? Frameworks have been delayed or definitely postponed. I'm looking at View, Cloud Compute 2, and the automation framework. The launches of frameworks have been significantly delayed, looking at UG Cloud 14 Lot 4 and DOS 6, for example. A large number of current frameworks have been extended, meaning continual lockout for those waiting to get on for the next iteration or update their service profile. Looking again at G Cloud 13, some of you may have seen the news yesterday. Lots of new ways of working from CCS coming in. Unfortunately, we've seen the demise of the digital marketplace. And that's I've posted on LinkedIn about that, my feelings on that. I won't go into detail on that. There's things around the procurement reform that's coming in, lots of stuff around social value, the digitization, the whole digitization process that the procurement reform people are having to build for the procurement reform, and a number of other things as well. So, why 2024? Well, as it says there, we have had our eyes on this for a while now. What we do with our planning is we tend to look at a framework's end date and think, okay, what is the minimum amount of time of that CCS, and to be mostly focused on those, or other framework providers are going to have to run their procurement and then do market engagement. So we can then predict to our customers with a reasonable amount of certainty when they're going to lift their workloads, and we can predict for our own internal workloads and what number of staff we're going to need, how many people, what we're going to have to do to manage, things like that. Okay. Many major CCS frameworks are scheduled to be relet next year. All right. Some of them are due to expire in 2025, but there's some really big ones that take a long while to run those ITTs. And so there's going to be quite a lot of work to be done next year. There's some fairly major DPSSs. For those who don't know, that stands for Dynamic Purchasing Systems. They will renew and update as well. We've got the procurement reforms build out already come into play, and also a number of things they're having to build out for that. The procurement reforms won't actually come into play until secondary legislation is due to be finished, which is supposed to be October 25, so October 24. It has to be around that time, because anything after that comes into the risk of it falling into the PERDA period for a general election, which is due. The latest it can be is January 25. Okay. Maybe they're correcting some past mistakes, because there's some ones that have gone out there that have not been that brilliant and need to be relet and redone quite quickly. So it is very much definitely a year of doors unlocking. The only challenge on that side of it is great. A lot of these are unlocking. There's a lot of them. And then once they're done, they can be closed for currently up to 4 years. Under new framework procurement rules, it could be up to 8 years you're locked out. Okay. So for those who are new to the market or have been locked out in the past, now is very definitely your chance. All right. So what key frameworks are coming up? This is the bit that we've got, the minimum critique, and we've put this in. This is all of the Crown Commercial Services technology frameworks that we know are due to be relet next year. Okay, so here's a helpful visualization. There's 14 of them, if I remember rightly. So that's over one a month, starting with G-Cloud 14. If you saw the news yesterday, the G-Cloud suppliers, you've heard that it's going at spring 2024. Now, those who don't know, the spring calendar, meteorologically wise, starts on the 1st of March. Hence us putting that in there for 1st of March. Okay, we have been expecting it for January, but they turned around and said March. Now, that could be anything from March up to the end of May, because obviously it's 3 months in that. So, keep your eye on that and what's happening. Well, I'm not going to go through this now because I'll go through each of these individually. But as you can see, there's a fair steady amount of some fairly chunky frameworks coming in over, and I will talk through each of those now. So clearly, G-Cloud 14 has been delayed from 2023 due to it's been delayed from 20 due to G-Cloud being extended until November 24. Most of that is down to teething problems with the new platform, not being on the digital marketplace, but also due to the requirements from the digital sourcing playbook from Cabinet Office policy, which is coming in to do stuff around financial viability, security, and things like that, which we'll talk to a little bit more. So applications being spring 2024, definitely cloud software and cloud support. There's a question mark as to cloud hosting, whether that's going to move. I know some of it will be moving into the Cloud Compute 2 framework. So anyone involved in hyperscale or provision of cloud hosting, so compute and storage, really ought to be looking at the Cloud Compute framework. So give us a shout on that if you need some more information. And of course, G-Cloud being the most successful framework in the history of Crown Commercial Services frameworks, with over 15 billion spent to date, and doing a run rate of around 33 billion a year in 2022. And I know a fair bit's gone through this year already. Mobile voice and data services is up around the same time. It was separated from Network Services 2 framework. It only feels like it was awarded last year, very recently, but it was last year. And of course, it's a 2-year life cycle it's got on this. So applications again will start in March 2024. There's only 10 suppliers in this current iteration. You can include hardware, handsets, devices. It won't be on Network Services 3, okay, which again goes live, which is due to go live in July, and so it's going to be neat to put in there. Now there is an extension period, so it may well find it to be extended, but watch this space. Now this is one of the most interesting ones. DOS split into two. With digital specialists and programs, plus you had digital capability for health, which offered a similar sort of thing, but specific to healthcare market. And there was only 3 new applicants on the digital capability of health last round, and we got 2 of them on there, by the way. I'm very pleased with that. The iteration of the game is delayed because of the closed digital marketplace. Splitting been seen as success? Well, they don't think so because they're combining them all. Okay, they're all coming back together as one framework with 4 different lots with different supplier numbers. Again, so you will have the opportunity to supply through the agreement and supply outcome-based teams, or you've got specialists, and there's stuff around health and things like that as well. It's done 5.2 billion to date. That's just outcomes and specialists. I think there's 500 million or more, maybe 750 has gone through digital capability for health so far. So they're all successful frameworks in their own right. They're all going to be brought into one. It's currently undergoing market engagement with CCS, and we've been involved on both sides of the fence on that. So anyone wants some more information, again, hit us up. Back office software didn't have an awful lot to do with this one, to be honest. It should be arriving for applications in July 2024. It includes software subscriptions and support, mostly direct from the vendors. This was I've actually got some stuff, so I'm not going to say on this. You can direct from vendor. There's central government and wider public sector available. There's about 1 billion that's gone through the first iteration. So, look at the sort of things like Oracle and some of the bigger ERP back office software suppliers. Okay, it is competitive with 31 suppliers in the current framework, but it will need to be recompeted. But it's for a select sort of software supplier. Okay. Now this is a biggie. All right, there's 3 really top frameworks in my opinion within 4 really top frameworks within Crown Commercial Services portfolio: G Cloud, the DOS suite of frameworks now, network services, and technology services. Any supplier that is serious about providing IT services, digital and IT services within government should be on a technology services framework. It's where all of the big system integrators play, and all of the medium to large players play. It's difficult for small companies to get on. You need to be at the larger end of the smaller organizations, to be honest. More heading towards the medium size, but we can advise on that, whether you'll qualify for this, certainly based on TS3's application process. It is competitive. There's over 250 suppliers on TS3, and 50% of those are SMEs, and there's nearly 3 billion has gone through its current iteration. Number of DPSs are going to renew and update next year. We know that people are using them because we help people win business through them. CS4, Spark 2, gigabit cable connectivity, AI and automation DPS is due to expire this year. Maybe they'll be extended due to the AI framework itself, bigger framework, being delayed or under review. Just for anyone who didn't know, a DPS you can apply at any time during being live. Okay, and once you've applied and you've been told you're successful, you should be on there within 15 days, and you can reapply if you are unsuccessful. So it does provide a quick and relatively straightforward to get on route to market. All right, back into the polls again, because we need to start wrapping up for questions in a few minutes. So Danny, can you launch the next poll, please? Will you be applying for any of these upcoming frameworks? Please select one of the following. Yes, there's a few relevant for us. Yes, but we might have only capacity for one application. I'm unsure if we're relevant for any of them. No, we're not relevant for any of them. Or we don't have capacity to apply. Getting up to 80% voted now. More sex is push it back up to 90. 89%. That will do, Danny. Let's go 90%. There we are. Let's close it and publish the results, please. Okay, so we've got, yes, 95% of you will be applying. There's 5% of you unsure. Well, obviously give us a shout and we can help you talk through that. If you only have capacity for one, then, give us a call again. We can see if it gives us an indication that we are talking to the right audience here, that this is very relevant to you. So thank you very much for that. That's very helpful. Then we close that down and we'll crack on. Okay. So why you should start preparing now? Why are we looking over a year ahead for some of these frameworks? Okay. So actually 2024 isn't that far away. I can't believe we're at the end of June already, frankly. It's school holidays again soon. A lot of suppliers do leave it until the IT drops and to start prepping. It causes an enormous amount of stress, especially given the amount of mandatory requirements to get on now that you can't just do yes no questions for. Okay, please don't do this. There's a huge. We'll go through some of those in a minute. They can be quite complex to navigate, and you might and should relevantly be considering more than 2 frameworks in a year. There, I know a number of our clients on there will probably be going for at least 4 of those that are on there. Okay. So, it's be a busy year. So, and also bear in mind that getting listed isn't the end goal. It's just a door opener. It's sort of like about 10% of the work. You've got to find and win the business too. And there's a number of things that you need to do for that. Yeah, especially if you're new to it. So in terms of an action plan, have you got the time to apply for each relevant framework? Can you bid for these frameworks successfully? There's no point being on there, especially like G-Cloud and DOS, if you're not going to bid for anything. Okay, or try and win work. Why are you there otherwise? Qualify your company for frameworks and the opportunities. Can you upskill your teams before these hit? Do they know how to respond to tenders? Do they know how to get onto these things? Do they have to use those frameworks as part of your sales and marketing strategy? I get a lot of questions from people saying, why have I never had an inbound lead from G-Cloud? Or why do we keep not getting through stage ones in DOS? And I can answer those quite straightforwardly. One, G-Cloud's not a source of inbound leads, and DOS, well, you need to know how to respond to things. And, quite often you don't even know how to answer an exam. All right. So, using these frameworks as part of your sales and marketing strategy will help win your business. Some of the mandatory requirements I spoke about, these are not applicable to every framework, but they are pretty much getting there now. So Cyber Essentials or Cyber Essentials Plus, some of the frameworks you don't need it to get on, but you will need it to do business. So, it's pretty much everyone will say, have you got Cyber Essentials? When if you're not on the framework, but you're wanting to win a contract, you'll be asked, do you have it? And if you haven't got it, no point, just give up. Okay, you will need to have a carbon reduction plan showing how you'll help the government meet its net zero target for 2050, ideally 2030. Prompt payment is a big issue for SMEs. So any of the large organisations need to confirm their prompt payment. You need to understand your FVRA submission requirements, which is the financial viability questionnaires. Understanding framework terms and conditions. Some of the large organisations have quite intense governance processes to make sure those go through okay. All frameworks now require you to do a submission on social value. So having an understanding of what social value means will go to the framework, but also to your company, and then how you can put that into future tenders and requirements, and then manage and prove whatever commitments you put into to social value, because that's a big thing in government now. People have made all these promises, and now as buyers, we're starting to ask, okay, in our contract reviews every year, prove what you've done for this. If you haven't done this, then we need to put a remedial plan in place, because otherwise your contract could be terminated. So the action plan for 2024: are you in a position to get listed and win the business? Are you on top of your company and solution social value? Are your accreditations up to date? Are you adhering to regulations and policies? Are you embedded public sector procurement in your sales and marketing strategies and hitting all the mandatory requirements? We call a lot of this the fundamentals of being viable. Yeah. Removing any viability, and viable for me means removing any of the blockers that could potentially have a buyer stop you and say, sorry, we can't deal with you. Used to be not getting onto a framework. Yeah. Sorry, can't deal with you, not on a framework. Now it's a lot more complex around information governance, the social value, your financial. There's all the stuff we've done there. any security. Information governance is an absolute mare sometimes. So this is what we mean by being viable, and we can help you. So another poll, and then we'll get into the Q&A. Oh, a little bit after that, but yeah, another poll, please, Danny. So, do you currently have an action plan in place for 24? Yes, we've started. Yes, it could be better. No, we're starting soon. No, we haven't even talked about 2024 yet. No idea where to start. Okay, up to nearly 80% have voted. What I like this means that you guys are actually paying attention and still with us. A few more minutes. Okay, I think we'll just crack it at that. We've got to 85%. We want to close it down and publish, Danny? Thanks very much. Well, as you can see, it's a very mixed bag of results there. So 46% of you have actually yes, and now we're starting soon. Or I'm talking about 2024 yet. So hopefully this will help be the catalyst or the kickstart for the things you need to do to get going. So if we close that down, there's a couple other bits before we get into Q&A. Thanks, Danny. Much appreciated. So how can we help? There's a very, very brief thing about the things that we do. So we do workshops and training. Yeah, all about it. Remember, it's only about public sector procurement in the UK and only around buying tech and digital services. Framework applications, what we're known for, is 50% of our business, and you'll see a slide on our success rate later. We can do go-to-market assessments if you're looking at new areas to go into, or assess whether you're actually whether it's worthwhile entering into public sector. We have our phone a friend support, Procurement Plus, which is extremely popular and has a massive return on investment for our member partners for that. And of course, a large chunk of our business now is spent reviewing people's bids before they go in. Okay, so in terms of framework expertise, this is a list of a large chunk of the difficult frameworks that we've worked on. And you know, I think an average of 95% on quality score across framework is not bad going. We're doing pretty good on that. Okay, and we're very pleased with that. So that's the only bit of pitching we're going to get from me today. Finally, I did mention our very exciting tool, which has had a lot of good feedback so far. It's called a viability score. It's all been created by our own viability mentors, and it's just it takes about 2 minutes to complete, and we'll tell you where your gaps are. We've had people scoring from anything from 10 up to about 80 to 85% correct. So you know, find out where we consider you are on your viability. Have a look at this. The links will be sent round later on. There is a QR code right here where you can book a viability check-in with me or one of the team, and again, find out your viability score there, okay? Don't worry about doing that now. We're going to head into Q&A, and after one final poll. Oh. So, how was this webinar for you? Very useful or not useful at all? Please let us know. It helps us improve. 82% of you voted. Possibly as far as we're going to get. Okay, we're at 88%. We've got to crack on. Let's get that done out. Let's publish the results. Oh, cracking, 99% of you are happy. Thank you very much. That's great to see. The 1% who said no, not useful at all, please let us know why not. That's always useful. And anyone has any feedback, please do send us some feedback. We're always open to learn. So let's finish that now. Don't need to close that down. And let's get into the last 6 minutes for questions.
Okay. Yeah, as Chris said, we've got some brilliant questions in already. Any that we don't get round to answering in this 5 minutes, we'll type up an answer for and send it around with the recording. So you will get your questions answered, even if it's not right now. So we'll start off with some ones that we should be able to answer pretty easily. So in terms of CCS supporting SMEs, how can these extensions to the likes of G Cloud 13 be justified in terms of us having to hold prices firm?
Personally, I don't think they can be. I don't think it's acceptable. But that is something, you could put through the trade association, the Technology Trade Association Tech UK, of which I sit on the Central Government Council, is a place. If you're a member of Tech UK, you can put stuff through to them to complain, or you can complain to the SME Crown Rep, Martin Traynor, or there is the SME Steering Group Board, I think it's called, or something like that, that maybe to complain to. I personally think it's unacceptable.
Okay, cool. A lot of people asking, will we be sending around the slides? Yes, we'll be sending them around as a PDF, so you can click all the links, and as well as the recording and the type up of the Q&A. Someone else asks, how can we influence the design of frameworks, for example, mobile voice and data?
Well, traditionally, and Crown Commercial are getting a lot better at this. They will start market engagement at some point before. We're already in the middle of market engagement for G Cloud 14 and the DOS frameworks. I think, for mobile voice and data, well, if you go onto the CCS pipeline, find the mobile voice and data link. Yeah, there's usually an email to get in touch with them there and ask them, to send some feedback, or ask them when they're going to be doing market engagement. Maybe a bit soon for them, but I would have thought if they're coming to market in March, I still think this one's going to be extended, by the way. I think you're probably looking for market engagement for that, possibly be about September time.
Nice. Bear with me with this one. It's quite a wordy one, so if I stumble, I apologize. Their opinion is that with many new frameworks kicking off, that normally for local authority or central gov, it seems like buyers are dispersing out from the main frameworks, which are watering down the one-stop convenience of the major frameworks like G Cloud, I assume. What is your opinion on this, and will this trend continue, or will 2024 help reset this?
It sounds like that's a consolidation question to me. So clearly, the DOS, there was the splitting of DOS hasn't worked. They're bringing it all back together again. And as far as I know, they will be getting rid of the platform. Unfortunately, it'll be mean that lack of transparency in there, but that's another question. CCS does seem a little bit strategically directionless, I have to say, on the way that they're going about things at the moment. I know there's a new person looking after all the 4 pillars. So you don't have tech, you have tech, people, construction, and something else. And that's a guy called Roger Gonery. He's producing a review of all frameworks in the way that CCS are going doing things at the moment. So I'm hopeful that we'll find some new thinking, new ideas coming out. Hopefully involve the supply chain before they tell us what they're going to do to us.
Okay, cool. What are the triggers that framework authorities use for taking up framework extension options, and how can we find out as early as possible?
Most of the triggers are what can I say? So being involved in market engagement when you see things are coming around, okay, so making sure you're staying close to the framework providers and when they're talking. So if it's NHS Shared Business Services or YPO or whomever, you get in touch with them and you're keeping a relationship to find out when they're talking about new extensions, okay? With CCS, it varies, to be honest. You can pretty much know. From a trigger from me would be that if a framework hasn't started, if its framework is expiring in less than 6 months, and you haven't seen an ITT or any form of market engagement, then it's going to be extended. It's either going to be extended or retired. Because you need to, if you work back from the expiry date, it usually would mean they need at least 6 months beforehand to do some form of meaningful market engagement. Get there. There's a process that CCS have to go through in terms of governance, and then they have to launch the framework, run the ITT, and then evaluate it, and then award it and get it up. So it's at least a 6 to 9 month process, to be honest.
Cool. Well, that's 11 o'clock, so that's
time.
cute. Yeah, came around very quickly.
Okay.
So that's all for as I said, any that weren't answered, we'll type up the answer and send that round to you all with the recording and the actual slides with clickable links. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Danny. It's been great. Thanks everyone for listening to us. One final, really grateful to be here. Please, we do these for free to help and share knowledge. But if you could follow us on socials, I don't really much care about Twitter anymore, but it's really important if you could just follow the company Advice Cloud on LinkedIn. I'd be really grateful. With that, grateful to you. Good luck with everything you're doing for 2024. We've got more webinars coming up, so do keep an eye on our socials and or sign up for our comms on the website. Wish you all the best. Thanks ever so much, and we'll see you soon. Take care.